Hello, and welcome back to my Power Miners Retrospective. My name is Jack Back, and today we will be taking a closer look at 8957, the mine Mech, as well as the combiner models of Power Miners. In today's episode, we are joined by two new characters. Our first named miner, Brains, who is the team scientist and the, brains of the operation. Technically speaking, he is set exclusive, but this is within heavy quotation marks, as this iteration of him can easily be created from some of his later ones and vice versa. After the Power Miners operation, Brains went on to join the crew of the Atlantis mission. Brains features a white torso with a test tube emblem, which is unique to him among the miners. Like everyone else, he has an alternate scared expression as well. The other character is Boulderax, the trans-green rock monster. He is actually exclusive to this set, and he comes with a single trans-green crystal that is not seen anywhere else in Power Miners. This is a confusing choice considering how many more appearances the other crystal colors get, even trans-orange, despite its rock monster only coming in one set too. Aside from that, this piece was only ever featured in 3 other sets in 2012. 2 of them are depictions of Kryptonite, after which it was unfortunately replaced by Transparent Green, all in all making this the first appearance of this rare piece. Here's a graph that better demonstrates the scarcity of trans-green crystals. It's worth noting that all other crystal colors also get more appearances in waves 2 and 3, especially trans-neon green, which shows up a total of 15 times in waves 2 and 3. It is also worth noting that the Boulder Blaster initially came with red crystals, likely erroneously as the instructions and box art showed blue crystals, and this was later fixed. One has to wonder why it didn't feature green crystals and Boulderax, considering it's called the Boulder Blaster. Now, for a closer look at the mine mech itself. It's got a bit more in the way of play features compared to the Stone Chopper, like the Soul Arm that can spin, and the Claw Arm that can be used to grab rock monsters or crystals. Aside from that, there are some tool clips connected to the cockpit, making them very easy to access by the pilot, and it also makes for quite a unique utilitarian look. Its steady yet very posable legs make for a very easy to balance model. The arms leave something to be desired in the posing department, however, sporting only a single ball joint each, and at a slightly awkward angle. Unlike the last set, the mine mech comes with some accessories. This age-old pickaxe that had already seen over 3 decades of service within LEGO's parts inventory by the time this set came out, in stark contrast to this dynamite piece introduced with Power Miners, making this its first appearance. Both are still around today, though the dynamite piece was last seen in 2022. Still, I doubt it's gone, as there's really nothing to replace it as far as I'm aware. While mechs are nothing unique from the LEGO group, the construction of this one is quite special, using a lot of these bricks with bionicle ball joints, as well as some straight up bionicle pieces as well. This mech also marks the debut of the Power Miners roll cage, which is also still in use today. An interesting bit of trivia about the roll cage is that all the colors it has appeared in, aside from black, are exclusive to a single set each. And if it's mechs you want to learn more about, I recommend checking out Battle Peak and their Exoforce retrospective, the first episode of which is out by the time of recording this. Other noteworthy elements include a lengthy list of first appearances. The orange 57563s, which were only ever included in 5 sets between 2009 and 2010, of which most were Power Miner sets. The orange 62462s, the lime 4150s, the lime 6091s, as well as the trans-orange 58176, though that one appeared with a boatload of other sets in 2009 too. Quite the list for such a small set. Finally, there's also the orange 41530, which was mentioned last video. Now, I once again have a suggestion for a modification, but this is one I'm far more resolute about. While the mine mech isn't fragile by any means, there's an easy way to make its legs even more durable, simply by putting a too long axle through the ball joint bricks. This also has practically zero impact on the aesthetics of the model, especially if you use black axles. Alternatively, You could add a short bar element through them, so they can move like in the commercials. I don't have the best type of element for this, so I'll use this pneumatic T-connector instead. This connection is, however, nowhere near as sturdy. I also made an alternate build of my own design for the Mech a while ago, using all of its parts to make a boat for exploring any bodies of water in the massive caves. This is an element of cave exploration that power miners unfortunately neglected. However, considering the difficulty with integrating the Rapid Rider from Rock Raiders into a scene with the other sets from that theme, as a result of it being the only water vehicle in the theme, I can understand why TLG would forego that this time around. More of Rock Raiders will be covered with the Claw Digger episode. Finally, time to cover today's subject, the Combiner models. During the first wave of power miners, the 6 main sets got Combiner models. The Stone Chopper and Mine Mech combined to make the Cave Cutter, the Granite Grinder and Thunder Driller combined to make the Arrow Shredder, and the Claw Digger and Crystal Sweeper combined to make the Crystal Crawler. All of the instructions for these Combiner models can very conveniently be found on LEGO's website under the sets they consist of. We will take a closer look at the Cave Cutter today, and the other 2 during the Thunder Driller and Crystal Sweeper episodes respectively. The Cave Cutter is a strange build that I feel simultaneously pushed its parts inventory further than it could really go, seemingly being a wheel short, while also making pretty poor use of it, leaving a lot unused. In my opinion, Big Yellow put it best, calling this an absolute contraption, which I feel summarizes it perfectly. They also came up with a design to improve on the problematic cockpit, which really doesn't leave a minifigure enough space to sit or stand. All of this came from their video on Combiner models, which I highly recommend checking out, alongside the rest of their LEGO content. Despite all this, I quite like the Cave Cutter. Still, it feels pretty clear that the designers didn't really know what they were doing with this, which is fair. Adding on to the apparent cluelessness of the designer is the official video review on it, which has a litany of errors. It really doesn't help that the Cave Cutter leaves no room for the pickaxe, as both clips are used up for the dynamite, or that its method of movement is most reminiscent of a dog with one of those animal wheelchairs, which is more of an insult to the dogs than to this thing. While some of the reason I like this is surely nostalgia, there's something to be said for the wild uniquity of this model too. And that concludes the second episode of the Power Miners Retrospective. Join me again next time for a closer look at 8958, the Granite Grinder.